Yes, Steve, got Dylan Fulcher, Ashkity, Cúilín Media. Welcome back for another weekend preview show. It is a full house. All four of the lads are here. Myself, James Brady, joined by Liam White, Aaron Prendergast, and the birthday boy, Matthew Hurley. Thanks to you for jumping on, Matthew, on your birthday. How you been keeping, man?
Well, my birthday was actually yesterday, lads. But yeah, it was just a normal day, I suppose. As you get older, the birthdays are less enjoyable. I'll put it that way. But yeah, looking forward to the weekend's games. Obviously, it's only hurling this weekend in the Camogie. There is Division 4 LGFA action, but very few games to get into this weekend. But yeah, I suppose we'll have less time on a podcast this week. We should be under an hour, but we'll see.
Should be under an hour. I was thinking under an hour 45 I'd be delighted with, but Dublin was great here. Staying great to see all the lads in. Happy late birthday to Matthew. We bent the rules a little bit to get a birthday on the pod. Dublin was great. Also saying hi, lads. Looking forward to all the games this weekend. Galway, Kilkenny could be a relegation 4-pointer if Waterford win. Hurling weekend it is, says Patrick Silk. It certainly is. It's dominated this weekend by the hurling and the camogie. We also have Division 4 LGFA action to preview as well. But no men's Gaelic football action taking place. Aaron, I think maybe from a Dublin perspective, a little bit of a breather. We got our win. Now we can just kind of revel in it before the next game.
Yeah, we can enjoy it anyway a little bit from a football perspective anyway, and enjoy the win, and kind of take that with us going into next weekend. Obviously, do play down in the hurling, which should be a win from a Dublin perspective. Obviously on Saturday evening, but I think at the same time you can't get too carried away with it. You know, we have to do the business, we have to do the job, and get the points on the board. But yeah, it's been a nice couple of days. I feel like the week is usually always a little bit better. The days are a little bit better when your teams win. And as a Liverpool fan as well, that was that gets ruined a lot of the time as well. So at least we do have the Dubs who seem to be doing all right with a win versus the Rossies, and hopefully we can back that up against the Yorkshire in a week's time.
Absolutely. So Liam, your sporting weekend was nearly bad, but Arsenal pulled it out the bag for you.
Yeah, Lowry and Offaly in the two. No, I'm actually not bothered by Spurs, to be honest. We won last night, so I'm happy.
Surely you'd want them to get relegated.
Absolutely.
Imagine
absolutely. No. I want them relegated.
The stadium in the championship be unbelievable.
I mean, we'll miss out on the 6 points every year, but you know what? No, I'd love to see them in the championship next year. But no, look, yeah, had Arsenal not beaten Chelsea last weekend, I'd have probably seen us potentially mess the title race up. Lowry mess up the golf and Offaly get relegated in the hurling, and that would have been probably the end of my sporting life, to be honest with you. But no, it's nice from my perspective that I can get a break from Offaly this weekend. I don't have to watch them in hurling or football. But no, look, we still have some cracking games to look forward to. Like was mentioned there, Galway Kilkenny. When you do think about it deeply, it's a potential relegation scrappy game this weekend. Limerick Cork, no matter if it's league, championship, challenge matches, there's bound to be one or two fights, and there's bound to be some great action. So I'm looking forward to that. And looking forward to getting into it.
Well, let's quit the daddering and get straight into the game. So we're going to start off with Division 1A of the Hurling League. And for me, I know we were talking about Galway Kilkenny, but for me, I have more of an eye on this game. And Matthew, I'm sure you do too, as your county's involved. Going away to Limerick versus Cork. Saturday, 7 p.m. in the Gaelic Grounds. This one will be live and available to watch. Matthew, over the last few years, has there been a better rivalry than Limerick versus Cork?
You could argue Kilkenny against Tipperary, considering the amount of all the finals they played against each other in. Maybe even Clare and Limerick because of the needle, especially on the pitch, number one, and number two on social media. But I suppose, this is a huge game, Cork and Limerick, because two of these sides have been the best performing teams over the last few seasons. Obviously, Cork won the two games in 2024. Limerick got their own back in 2025, obviously by hammering them in the Gaelic Grounds in the championship. Obviously, then Cork won the Munster Championship last year. And as it turns out, if Cork get a draw on this one, as far as I know, I think if they draw or get a result, at least they're in the league final automatically. They're in the league final mathematically, which would be a good thing, I suppose, for Ben O'Connor. But Limerick are going into this in brilliant form. And I'm scared, to be honest. On Saturday, look, Cork have a lot of injuries, and Shane Barrett will be back for his suspension, but that's obviously a big boost to us. But we do have injuries in key areas. I know the likes of Alan Walsh and the likes of Barry Walsh have done well over the last few weeks, and they have done well in club championship games and all that. And fair play to Ben O'Connor for spotting these players, because apparently Barry is still only under 20. So like to throw him in the deep end is very, very good, in fairness from Ben. It's an interesting game, but this could be the first of 5 games, I think, between the sides. You have a potential league final as well. You have the Munster round robin, potential Munster final, and potentially an All-Ireland final as well. So potentially you have 5 games between the teams. So that is mouth-watering. But I would think this is the game that is least important, if that makes sense. And look, I think Limerick are probably favourites going into it because of the form they are in, and Cork are in kind of a safety net at this present moment in time. Sorry to say this, even with the greatest respect, I'd say Cork should get over the line against Offaly in Páirc Uí Chaoimh at the last day. So Cork have nothing really to fear. Limerick, if they want to get to a league final, they'll probably have to win this game. So I think Limerick would have to want more than Cork this weekend.
It's very interesting to look at the comments as well coming in. Dublin's great here saying this is going to be epic. I love Cork versus Limerick games. Cork and Limerick could turn up in a random field in a storm in a challenge game, and they'd still get 15,000 out at it. Mikey here saying can see Limerick pulling away in the second half. 6 games they played in the Munster League. Also, Limerick versus Cork League final is what Patrick thinks is going to be the way that it goes. Look, the reality is with this rivalry as well is, I think it's fair to say, Aaron, familiarity breeds contempt. And like over the last few years, once Limerick and Cork kind of realised that they're always going to be in each other's way of Munster titles, getting to All-Ireland finals, winning the All-Ireland, etc., once they clocked that this is how it's going to be for the next few years, this isn't a once-off year rivalry type, I think that adds to the flames.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, like it is the biggest rivalry, I think, in hurling right now. Like whatever you say about historical rivalries maybe of Kilkenny and Tipperary, obviously going back from the 2010s and everything else, I think right now this is the big rivalry, and that I think this is the fixture that I think most Cork fans and Limerick fans will look for when the fixtures got announced for the league and also for the championship as well. And because of how far both of these two have been going in recent seasons in the All-Ireland and also the league, it's very likely that they end up playing each other. But yeah, like I think it is 2 teams coming banging in form as well. When you look at what Limerick have been able to do to win the big win that they got versus Tipperary, we know the big stars in Galan and Keane Lynch, but in particular, I think Aidan O'Connor has been probably one of the standout players so far this season. From a Limerick perspective, he's been absolutely outstanding. Shane O'Brien as well. So it has been kind of the newer players have come into the Limerick fold, but at the same time, Cork have done similar as well. As we said, with the Walshes coming into the side, both of them have been very good in getting goals the last day. Dara Fitzgibbon's obviously been in phenomenal form as well. So it is really, really interesting. Like there may be an element of shadow boxing a little bit. That's the only thing I will say. With the fact that Cork, Cork won't want to give anything away here, in my opinion. I don't think they won't want to play their hand or, any tricks up the sleeve. They want to keep their cards close to their chest. Which is why I think Limerick, especially at home, and especially given recent seasons and recent defeats Limerick have had versus Cork. I know they beat them in the round robin last season, but that Munster final last year would have hurt them. To lose that record on penalties in the way that they did, playing in the Gaelic Grounds, it's like a couple of weeks ago when Donegal played Kerry in the All-Ireland final, or when Cork played Tipperary, or not in the All-Ireland final, sorry, in the league, when they played each other in the league.
Obviously getting out of hand, lads.
I know, yeah, we're not even 10 minutes in here. What is going on? But yeah, when Donegal played Kerry in the league and got their revenge, Cork got their revenge against Tipperary in the league, and I do think something similar will happen here with Limerick.
I do think as well, like you have that burning image as well of the Cork fans dancing in the corner of the ground with Donal Logue, looking behind him and all. I think that would have burnt the Limerick players. And I do think, Liam, I think it is a little bit of a sliding doors moment for me looking at the championship last year, because let's be honest, Dublin, we weren't expected to beat Limerick. And I think part of that is why we did. I think Limerick were so stunned when the game turned into an actual competition. They found it hard to switch on, and they expected us to not be as good as we were. if they had taken that game serious, if they play at their best and Dublin play at their best, I'm not ashamed to say they're a better side. I think they would have got through that game. They would have been on the opposite side of the draw to Cork then, I think it was, wasn't it? Because when Dublin won, that switched the draw up. So Limerick and Cork would have been on opposite sides. So Limerick would have been playing Tipperary and Cork would have been playing Kilkenny. I think it's a sliding doors moment to look at, like, how would the rest of the championship have gone after that? Because Limerick and Tip had already played earlier in the year. They drew. But personally, I probably would have leaned to Limerick at that moment to get over the line. It's very, very hard to say now. Obviously, in hindsight, Tipperary went on to win the All-Ireland, deservedly so. They were the best team. But bit of a sliding doors moment, and maybe that's feeding the fire for John Kiely, because they had an opportunity, they had a route to the final there, maybe in their heads, to prove they're the best again.
Yeah, well, especially when, wasn't Adam English put them 19-18 in front? Like, at that moment, I was thinking Limerick will kick on here, especially having the man extra as well. And then the 2 goals that just came basically out of nowhere, essentially, and swung the momentum back in Dublin's favour. I think that was really a moment where Limerick, I think it was at that moment Limerick said, shit, we're in a game here, you know, instead of realising it, you know, maybe, look, obviously when you get, when a team like, say, Dublin, in comparison to Limerick over the last couple of years, go down to 14 men, you're expecting Limerick to kick on and everything like that. But Dublin showed great resolve that day and showed great determination and just showed great skill and hurling intelligence as well, even with the man less. So, but look, Limerick are still one of the best sides in the country. Now, look, I will say it with the fact that I watched them against us last weekend and they weren't brilliant. I will admit that. Now, there was, even walking on the pitch afterwards, there was a very strong wind. It was a horrific wind. I wouldn't have wanted to have been playing in it myself. Limerick did miss a lot of chances in the game, but they weren't fully brilliant. Now, a lot of that was down to us. You know, we were sniffing out the danger and doing well from that perspective. Ben Keneally did a good job on Aaron Gallan. Killian Sampson was able to read the situations a lot when the ball was going into Shane O'Brien. We knew what the plan was, to get the ball into Shane O'Brien and Aaron Gallan as quickly as possible. Adam English, I should say, was coming out to midfield a lot to try and help out with the play in the middle of the park and half forward line, etc. But Limerick just weren't fully at the races. Now, look, they still bet us comfortably enough, but I do have a feeling that last weekend they weren't fully at their best. But I do expect them to be a lot better this weekend, because, look, like it or not, I'm not ashamed to admit this. They'd be looking at Cork thinking we have to be at our best. They would not be looking at Offaly thinking they have to be at their best at this moment in time. Do you know what I mean? We're not at that level right now. So, and like you said, look, Cork have a few injuries at the moment. You said Shane Barrett will be back this weekend, Matthew, did you?
Yeah, he will be. It's a 1-match ban as far as I know.
Yeah. Well, look, I think if he is back, it's a great addition, because I rate him so highly. I think he's probably your most consistent forward, to be honest with you, although I'm a big fan, obviously, of Brian Hayes. But yeah, look, Limerick, they still have an absolutely sensational team. Now, look, I'll be waiting to see what team they do put out there. If they put out a similar team to last weekend, albeit with Darragh Donovan being out injured now, and I hope he does recover soon enough anyways, because it's a shame that I still don't know fully what happened to him. He just looked like he landed sort of awkwardly. I don't even know who challenged him or what happened, to be honest with you, but hopefully he'll be able to recover soon enough, because he's a great player and I want to see him, you know, playing at the highest level after what he's done over the last couple of years. But if Limerick can put out a similar enough team to last weekend, I think they should be good enough to win this game this weekend, having home advantage as well. And I can imagine John Kiely would not have been one bit happy with the performance last weekend and thinking we need to show, like, he'd be saying to them, we got 32 points from play against Tipperary. We got 219 against Offaly in total. Like, we need to step up our levels once again. And what better way in doing that than going up against, at the end of the day, the reigning Munster champions and the All-Ireland runners-up from last year and putting out a statement. So, now look, at the same time, Ben O'Connor, like, I do agree with Matthew, Cork will realistically beat Offaly in a couple of weeks' time. You know, they'll have that extra few points on the board. So they're maybe not going into this weekend with as much pressure on them as you'd maybe expect. But at the same time, Ben O'Connor strikes me as a man who would rather bite nails than lose a game. So I have a feeling that he will still try and go all out with as many possible players that he has available to him to try and win this game. But I do think Limerick will shade it this weekend. I think if Cork are going to lose a league game, it's going to be this weekend. So I would say Limerick might win it by maybe them. I think it'll be a close game right until the last 10 minutes. Limerick might pull away and get a couple of points. But yeah, look, it should be still a good game nonetheless.
It'd be fascinating to see Ben O'Connor's post-match interview after this one, because you know that there's going to be an incident, and he's proven himself to be very, very captivating on the mic after the game and everything like that. So, Liam, you started us off. You've gone with a Limerick victory. Aaron, are you going to follow suit?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Limerick as well. I agree with Liam's points there. I think Cork, and even what Matthew was saying, like Cork don't have to win this game. They're probably going to be guaranteed a league final, you'd imagine anyway. And I think Limerick will just have a little bit more to prove. So home advantage, yeah, but I'll go with Limerick.
Matthew, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Limerick by 5. They'd wanted more. They have a point to prove, as the lad said there as well. And Shane O'Brien, Adam English, I'm sure those lads really want to click as well. Connor's one of the top scorers of the division as well with 39 points. Like, he's going to be on fire as well. So I'd say Limerick should win this game. And hopefully Alan Connolly will keep the quotes until later on in the season.
Yeah, very good. I mean, I'd never seen like those post-match interviews. Usually there is nothing to be said in those, like especially even like the halftime ones. I don't mind necessarily, but I'm like, I don't know what you're expecting to get out of these halftime interviews. Like, they are going to just pass the buck. But full-time interviews, of course, they're part of the culture. They're part of the legacy of the GAA. But who knows? We have Porter here saying Limerick by 10. Very interesting. I was trying to get revenge for last season. I'm going for a Limerick clean sweep, but I do think that Limerick will get over the line in this one. I do take on all the lads' points. I think, look, Cork are 4 from 4. They probably know that they're already 1 foot in the league final. Limerick don't. They could still be caught by Galway, Tip and Kilkenny and Waterford, all on 4 points right behind them. If results go a certain way this weekend, Limerick could end up almost in a weird position of looking over the shoulder a little bit. So, yeah, I think they will need to just get that foot a little bit further ahead, and I do believe Limerick will probably shade it. But interestingly, I don't know if there'll be as much incident as people expect. I think there will be a little bit of needle, of course, a little bit of competition, but I don't think it's going to be a scrap. I don't think it's going to be Tipperary level, because, and it's just a little bit of a theory, but we saw this game last season. This was the game last season where Flanagan hit Niall O'Leary with the hurl in a place where no man would want to be hit. And I genuinely think that John Kiley was really annoyed by that. And I think that like Limerick will try not to bite into it as much. I'm not saying that they'll let themselves be pushed around, but I think there won't be any below the belt, literally below the belt stuff going on in this game. So I think it won't be, there'll be a lot of shouldering, a lot of pushing, a lot of jabs and all that stuff, but I don't think there'll be a belt. But who knows? I could be wrong. Now, we'll move on to a game that has massive consequences for the team that come out on the wrong side of it. Galway against Kilkenny, Saturday at 5:15 p.m. in Pearse Stadium. Now, I went to Matthew first the last time, so Aaron, I'm going to go to you first this time. Galway, Kilkenny, 5:15 p.m. in Pearse Stadium. Both teams are on 4 points. They've both won 2 and lost 2, although Kilkenny are behind Galway based off score difference. What are you expecting from this one?
Yeah, it should be a really interesting game. Like, I think they're, again, a bit like Limerick Cork. There may be certain elements of shadow boxing a little bit with the fact that these two have obviously been the heavy hitters in Leinster in recent seasons in terms of getting to Leinster finals. Obviously, Kilkenny have had the advantage there. But look, I think Galway have been very improved so far this season in the league. I think they've shown they're not as reliant on Cathal Mannion as they have been. They found a bit more with Tom Monaghan, Colm Malloy as well. Well, I've been impressed with Galway. I think the way they've cut through teams, the way they've played as well, they've used more of the options available to them, and they haven't sort of made things harder for themselves in terms of relying on one player to kind of step up and take them over. Kilkenny's a strange one as well. Like Kilkenny, Kilkenny are one of them teams where they're not getting better, but they're not getting worse. And every time you think they're getting worse, they do something to maybe show you that they're still there. And even though they lost to Cork, I thought the way they battled back into that game and some of the fight that they showed was commendable in some ways. They are missing Hugh Lawler big time though. Like, goals are going in left, right, and centre. 3 goals conceded versus Cork, and that does seem to be a big worry. And as we said, there is a reliance on Owen Cody to do the business. I don't think TJ is going to be available for this game. You lads can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's going to be another big blow from a Kilkenny perspective. And yeah, they are looking at Mossy Keown, and I suppose Cian Kenny did play very well the last day. He scored 8 points. He was brilliant driving forward. He's been the extra man in and around the middle as well. I think he is a very skillful player. And that could be someone that Kilkenny utilise a lot more moving forward this season. But yeah, I think it's going to be a cracking game, to be fair. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, it's going to have a lot of bite in it because both teams need this win. Pearse Stadium as well, the weather will be wild. It'll be a difficult venue for Kilkenny to go and get the win. Matthew, a lot of people were hyping up. Just one thing to add on before I move on to it, Aaron, just to pick up on your point, sorry, about Hugh Lawler. I think particularly the Alan Walsh goal, when he came in off the bench and plucked it out of the sky, right where Hugh Lawler would usually be. It was screaming that he was missing in that game. And the sooner they can get him back, the better, because I think he's one of the best, if not the best fullback in Ireland. And they need him back, and they need him back now. But switching back to the point I was just making, Matthew, Galway got a lot of plaudits, even in the game where they lost against Cork. And they are getting quite a decent bit of hype, not in terms of people saying they're going to win the All-Ireland this year, but a lot of people saying they're on the right track, they're moving the right direction. Did you see what the hype was about in that Cork game?
To be fair, I've seen the Cork and Tipperary games, because what their new players have done is they've put their hands up, I will say. Like, Galway need an injection of youth in this team, and they've proven it, to be fair. Aaron Nyland's been brilliant in this campaign. I think Jason Rabbitt's a great kind of connector for the forwards as well, in terms of assists, in terms of goals. I think he's been absolutely sensational. I think Colin Malloy's been brilliant. I think Darren Neary, when he has played, has been brilliant as well. Add to the fact Carl Mannion is a sensational hurler as well. Galway have a plethora of talents across the pitch. I think they have some really, really good players. Even the likes of Killian Trayers at the back line is very, very impressive. Dark Fahy in goal. Galway now have a very good spine. They have performed well, I would say, in most of their games so far. Against Tipperary, despite losing, I was very impressed with them. Very impressed with them against Cork yet again. They beat Offaly to get their first win, and they beat Waterford, a tricky Waterford team, comfortably enough. So Galway have proven themselves to be an absolutely brilliant side. And we've questioned Galway and where this team is going. We think they're going in the right place now under Micheál Donoghue, and they could easily win Leinster, because Galway haven't won a Leinster Championship, I think, since 2018. It's a long time. So I think these young players might be the indicators to get them to a Leinster Championship. As for Kilkenny, look, Hugh Lawler's a massive loss. I think Billy Ryan is a big loss as well in the forward line. I think TJ is a massive loss there as well. Like, other than Mossy, Cian Kenny from Freeze, and Owen Cody, Kilkenny just don't have a bite this year. And that's worrying. I think it is incredibly worrying when you look at even the Leinster Championship. Dublin are improving. Galway are certainly improving. That is a worry for Kilkenny, in my opinion. You can't live off, like, Kilkenny can't really live off the past now, because they haven't won All-Ireland in 11 years. So, like, it's a tricky situation that Derek Ling finds himself in now. Like, Cork had a few injury problems last week, but I would say Cork were comfortable enough winners in Nolan Park. And before that, Cork had a really, really bad record in Kilkenny. So Kilkenny are going along very, very badly, whereas Galway, it's all positive. And because the striking factor, they're at home, I think Galway win this.
I think they're in serious danger. I know that things can change very quickly. I mean, just look at Tipperary last year, in 2024 compared to 2025, that things can change on a dime. But we all knew that the Tipperary talent was coming through, and it was just a question of when would the penny drop, when would they get it right. I didn't expect them to get it right so soon. But I think that they are in serious danger of, for the first time in what must be decades, going a decade without winning an All-Ireland. Because I'm looking at it thinking Cork, Tip, Limerick, their talent is only getting better. Galway, their talent is only getting better. It's going to get very hard, like as hard as it is now, to win an All-Ireland. So where is this All-Ireland coming from exactly? So it'll be very interesting to see how they keep up, because I do believe, like it's being echoed, Liam, Kilkenny not getting better, not getting worse, which is the point that Aaron made. They're just kind of hanging on a little bit, but like, my thing is as well, players that they are missing. Aces here saying Adrian Mullen, a massive loss for Kilkenny around the midfield. Ryan saying his prediction is a Galway Dubs Leinster final. Like, the Kilkenny that all of us grew up with had players in that forward line that you would shit yourself. going up against. You would be thinking like they've got Henry Shefflin at centre forward, Richie Power at full forward, Eddie Brennan in the corner, Owen Larkin in the other corner, Richie Hogan at wing forward, TJ Reid on the other. Like, just ridiculous. Whereas I was looking at it thinking, yeah, there's some good players in there, but they don't strike the fear of God into me anymore. And yes, they probably will still, I'd still probably bet on them to win Leinster because they just seem to have this knack of winning the competition no matter what level the counties around them can get to. But I don't see them as direct contenders for the All-Ireland this year, to be honest. I think it's going to come from one of the three of Cork, Limerick, Tip, or Clare, actually. I think Clare should be thrown in there. I think if it comes out of the four of them, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, like, I mean, Hugh Lawler for me is just the biggest miss. I mean, John Donnelly has improved massively over the last year or two. Adrian Mullen is obviously a very, very talented player, and TJ is TJ at the end of the day. But like, for me, Hugh Lawler, like when you reference the goal that Walsh got last week, you picture this weekend, that'll be Jason Rabbit. And I saw Jason Rabbit winning high ball over Ben Keneally 2-3 weeks ago. And Ben Keneally's not a small man. Do you know what I mean? So I think like Mikey Carey, if he's that fullback, probably will be a good player. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But I don't think he's a fullback. Yeah, exactly. Like, well, he's a half back line player. He's not a full back line player. Do you know what I mean? Like, similar enough to what Tip were doing with Brian O'Mara at the moment. But I could see Brian O'Mara fitting in a fullback better than Mikey Carey at fullback. Not denying he can't do a job, but I just don't think it fully suits him. So you put Jason Rabbit in there full forward this weekend. I think he catches a huge amount of ball, and he might get a goal or two potentially. And like you said there, look, I mean, I've been probably Galway's biggest critic on this, but I have been Galway's biggest critic on this podcast. But I actually see, and I never like writing off Kilkenny because half the time it comes back to bite me in the backside. But I can see Galway winning this game this weekend actually rather comfortably, to be honest with you. With it being in Pearse Stadium, with the way they're playing at the moment, there's a bit of momentum behind them. Cathal Mannion gets the space afforded to him that we know he can create for himself. I think Galway will win this game rather comfortably, which I would not believe I'd have been saying last year when you looked at how easily Kilkenny bet them in the two Leinster Championship matches. Now, Kilkenny could go out this weekend, prove a point, and hammer them, and I could look very stupid come Sunday evening. But I don't see it happening this time. I think there's good momentum behind Galway. The likes of Aaron Nyland, for me, I think is only going to get better as time goes on as well at corner forward. They have a lot of really talented players at the moment. They're working fierce hard. Tom Monaghan is a player I've been very impressed with and a big fan of over the last couple of years as well. Yeah, I could see Galway winning this game comfortably. And like you said there, Kilkenny just don't have those players at the moment that do put the fear of God into you. Now they still have some very good players, but they don't, like you said there, Owen Larkin, Eddie Brennan, corner forward. I mean, Jesus Christ, they terrify anybody. Whereas I just don't see that right now with their corner forwards. And like, let's not forget as well, Kilkenny, they won the All-Ireland under-20 in 2022, but how many of those players have gone on to like stamp their authority in this team? Essentially none of them. Do you know what I mean? Hugh Lawler is a big miss. Billy Ryan's a big miss as well. But Hugh Lawler for me is the absolute biggest miss out of them all. Like, I think he is the best fullback in the country right now. And I mean, did you also see, I think he got a goal, I think it was on Clubber. He got an unbelievable solo goal wherever he is at the moment. I don't know where he is off the top of my head, but I think that shows you the player that they're missing. But yeah, look, I think Galway should win this game this weekend.
Aaron, what are you going for?
Yeah, I'm going for a Galway win as well. I think the home advantage will be key. As the lads were saying there as well, like Kilkenny have looked up and down at times this year, whereas Galway do seem to be on an upward trajectory. So yeah, I'm going to go with Galway.
Very good. I'm actually going to go against the grain. I'm actually going to go with Kilkenny to win. Surprising, but my main takeaway from it is I think the two wins that Galway have got have come relatively easy to them. I don't think they've had to battle in. And even though Kilkenny lost to Cork, I was watching that game in the last 10 minutes, they did fight to the bitter end. My thing about it was the quality. I don't think, but to be fair, that Kilkenny team that they had under Cody, especially in the 2000s, 2010s, is probably the greatest team of all time. I think in contention with the Cork team, the Christy Ring and the Limerick team that we've witnessed under John Kiley. But so you don't really replace those players. But in terms of the grit and the fight and the heart and everything like that, they absolutely still have that. and they had it against Cork to the bitter end, and they had it, and that's why they got the win against Waterford with the last minute free from Kilkenny. And we mentioned it there in the Leinster Championship over the last couple of years. They have beaten Galway, and like they have had Galway's number. Now I know Galway are changing under Micheál Donoghue, they're bringing in new players and everything like that, but Kilkenny know that they will very likely go down if they lose this game. I think they're going to come out swinging. And I like it. Maybe it's a bit of PTSD because the amount of years that I went in with Dublin thinking, here, maybe we have a chat. No. Like the amount of times that I was like, maybe, no. So it's a little bit of, I've learned my lesson to not write Kilkenny off. And the reality is that there's a way to compete and there's a way to fight and everything like that. Kilkenny have still been swinging in every game that they play. They haven't been going out and not putting in any effort. So I think they're going to go away and they're going to give it their best shot. And I think they'll shade it by a point or two. I really think it'll be a defying, like active defiance, that they come out with the win. But who knows? Maybe I'm being a little bit silly predicting that. But anyway, we're going to move on to the last clash from Division 1A's round 6, and is the clash of Waterford versus Tipperary, Sunday at 3:15 p.m. in Walsh Park. And no, I threw to Aaron last time first. So Liam, I'm throwing to you first this time. For Waterford, the situation is precarious now. Simply put, they need to win this game. They've already played 5 games. They've won 2. They've lost 3. Tipperary, on the other hand, are ahead of them based off score difference. They've won 2, lost 2 out of their 4 games. So Tip also need to win just to keep that danger off their back.
Yeah, it's essentially do or die, I think, for the two of them, to be honest with you. Yeah, like Waterford would be very disappointed with how they performed against Galway. And I'd say Waterford have been doing this thing over the last couple of years where there's that one game that sort of doesn't go their way going down the final stretch or coming towards the end of a game or second half, and it derails their season. You think last year, like they beat Clare and everything was going so well for them. All of a sudden they played Limerick and they were just never the same after that. You think a couple of years ago, that defeat against Clare, where was it a 65? Was it a wide? And everything just fell apart for them. 2022, I thought it was the year Waterford were going to really kick on, wasn't it? They'd lost to Limerick by 3 points in the Gaelic Grounds. Was it 30 points to 221?
Yeah.
They played against Cork. And I was sitting there thinking, Waterford, and I was down in Cork watching this game, I remember, and I was thinking Waterford will win this game. And even the people I was with who were like stout Cork fans were saying Waterford will win this. Cork came out and bet them easily. Do you know what I mean? So Waterford have been doing this thing over the years where just one bad result or one final minute collapse essentially fucks their season over. And I have a feeling that Kilkenny's free could have been that moment for them this year in the league. Now, I could be wrong. They have home advantage this weekend. They're not exactly playing a Tipperary that's massively in form at the moment. They conceded 29 points against Cork and 36 against Limerick. So I'd say Liam Cahill didn't exactly mind having a weekend off last week. But at the same time, Tip will want a response because they'll be sitting there saying, we've conceded essentially 30 points in our last 2 games. Do you know what I mean? Against the 2 best sides in the country. We can't keep doing this. We need a response this weekend. So, look, I expect Tip to come out swinging this weekend. I expect Waterford to do it as well. It's a Munster derby at the end of the day. But for me, I think that Kilkenny point could have done a lot more damage to Waterford than we even think. So I actually think Tip will come out this weekend. I expect Darren McCarthy to have a good game. The McGraths, if they're both playing, should be on form, should be on sync. If they can get Ronan Maher back as well, playing, at the level that we know he can play at, you never know. But yeah, I think Tipperary should shade this weekend. And yeah, it'll be danger. It'll be danger for Waterford now as they'll be looking forward to the final round.
So that's 1 vote for Tipperary. Matthew, I'm going to go to you next. Interestingly, if Tipperary go down, it sets a bit of a bizarre trend in that Clare won the All-Ireland in 2024, then got relegated in 2025. If Tipperary go down, that's back-to-back champions that have been relegated from Division 1A down to 1B the next year. Is it going to happen?
I think it may be Denver Kilkenny that go down. I'm backing Waterford to win this game at the weekend. I backed Waterford for the very off. I still think there's a kick in them. I get Liam's point on basically a result messing up their whole season. But I'd like to think this team has turned the corner under Peter Queally. Like, they performed decent enough last year, to be fair. At stages, obviously the Limerick game, they weren't in that. Tipperary, a few instances go against them. They lose the game in the end. Obviously, O'Donoghue gets a runaway goal at the very end of it. Against Cork, they could have nicked that game in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. On any other day, they could have nicked that game. As well as that, Ruben Halloran's in brilliant form. Sean Walsh is as well. Look, hopefully the Ballygunner lads, from their point of view, will be coming back for this game as well. Like if Paddy Levy's around the middle of the park, I think is a game changer for them. Jamie Barnes, a very good player as well around the middle. Billy Nolan's doing well in goals. So I do think, while Tipperary are conceding that much, this might be an opportunity for Waterford to catch them cold. It might be, because Tipperary might have one eye on the championship, because their first game of the Ulster Championship is against Cork, and they have to be on their A game in that game. Waterford, the thing is, it's like they'd want to survive in Division 1A. They want to be playing against the best. I'm not sure they want to be there from a Tipperary point of view. I'm going to say Waterford win this game, and I'm going to say Waterford win it by 2.
I'm going to back you because of the evidence that we've seen in the previous rounds of the league campaign. Like last time when Waterford started off the league campaign, they did chasing a day out against Cork in round 1. Had the perfect response in round 2, beating Limerick and really putting them to the sword. So, and that was, funnily enough, that was in Walsh Park as well. They had home advantage for that one. So Tipperary coming to Walsh Park, it's going to be very, very tricky for them to get out of there with the win, I do believe. Like, I know that they have the talent and everything like that, but you are not too good to go down. And just because you're All-Ireland champions does not mean you're going to go down. We have a lot of people commenting in here, Porter saying hard one to call, Ryan saying 65 points conceded in 2 games, and said Matthew, maybe Cork might not to win Liam after that stat on the league. I think they'd take it. I mean, if I would definitely take it if we got promoted up to Division 1A this year, depending obviously on what Clare, Wexford, how that game goes. I would take getting relegated back down to 1B if we won the All-Ireland, and I'm sure each one of you lads would take the same thing.
Does that mean we're winning Ireland because we've already been relegated?
But there you go. Maybe it's happening in reverse order for Offaly this year. But I'm going to go for Waterford based off the fact that they showed heart and fight back in the previous games in Walsh Park when it was off the back of the chastening opening game against Cork, and they bit back and beat Limerick the next day out. They need a response. They need a fight back. They have Tipperary at home. I'm going to go for Waterford. Aaron, is it a split on this one, or are you joining me and Matthew?
No, I'm joining you lads with Waterford as well. And I think another reason as well is Walsh Park it's such a tough ground to go to. Like, how many times did Waterford pull it out of the bag at Walsh Park? Like, they beat Limerick there a couple of weeks ago. Like, and we know how good Limerick are and how well they're playing at the moment. Remember Waterford beat Cork a couple of years ago in the championship there as well, when everyone expected Cork to beat them. So there is just something about Walsh Park where the Waterford fans and the players really, really get up for it. And yeah, I agree with you lads as well. I think the need for Waterford to win this game is more for Tipperary. I think it means more for Waterford to stay up in this division than Tipperary. I think Tipperary can get relegated, and I don't really think they'll care that much, to be honest with you, because they know they'll bounce straight back, and they'll have all their eyes obviously focused on the championship, whereas for Waterford, I think they want to prove their claim. They want to prove that they belong in this division. So yeah, I'll go with Waterford narrowly.
Okay, so that means that we've gone for a clean sweep for Limerick to beat Cork. 3 of you went for Galway to beat Kilkenny, and I went for Kilkenny to beat Galway. Liam, you went for Tip to beat Waterford, and the rest of us went for Waterford to beat Tip. Ryan here saying as well, Clare versus Wexford is huge. Do Clare stick or twist already being in the final compared to Wexford having to throw everything at getting a result? Well, that's the game that we're going to come to next. This one is going to be just for this weekend. You know what, Aaron? I'm going to be shameless. For the whole weekend, they're going to be shouting and screaming, "Up the banner!" Clare versus Wexford, Sunday at 1:15 p.m. Please, lads, just beat Wexford. I've seen it too many times in the Leinster Championship, Aaron, with Wexford pulling it out of the bag against Kilkenny on the final day, and we get knocked out of the championship. So just for this weekend, please, Clare, please beat Wexford and take us up to Division 1A with you.
Yeah, do you know what? Like, if Clare do win, I might get a Clare jersey on the background there as well. Add it to the collection, maybe. I don't think Matthew would be too happy about that, maybe, to see a Clare see a Clare and a Tipperary jersey up there. Now only if they win and we get promoted though. That's the deal. That's the deal.
We have to do our job against Down this weekend as well. We'll come to that game.
Imagine Clare go and win and then we met. Do you know what I mean? So no, this has to be a fair trade-off. Like I've actually been looking at refreshing Clare GA's Twitter for the last while just to see what team they're going to put out for this game, because I honestly think that's what it's going to come down to. And Wexford are snaky. Like Wexford are one of them teams that, like, the amount of times they beat Kilkenny, do you know what I mean, on the final day when they need a win, they need a result, they need a win. And this could very much be the same thing again, where Kilkenny, when they were playing Wexford in those Leinster round robin games, Kilkenny would already be in a Leinster final. So they wouldn't really have on to play for in the majority of those games. And some of them they did, but in the majority of them they didn't. And this kind of feels very similar. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit worried, to be honest, because Wexford haven't been great in the league. Even against ourselves, I thought, to have two extra men and not see... Yeah, to not close that game out, I thought was crazy. Like, you had us dead and buried, and you still allowed us to come back into it and get a chance. So it's a very, very hard one to call. Like, I think, there is that element that I just wouldn't be surprised if Wexford went and done it. And obviously, I'm hoping I'm wrong. And look, I don't know, mate. Come back to me in a moment for a prediction. I want to see what you lads think.
Yeah, I will say this. I'll throw this over to you, Liam. It's a shame that Davy Fitz doesn't manage Wexford anymore, because I think if he did, Lowen would be throwing out the whole lot this weekend.
I think now if Davy Fitz was managing Clare this weekend, we'd have to get the boxing gloves out, to be honest with you. It'd be an absolute blockbuster of an occasion. But no, look, I have a funny feeling. Like, I saw somebody put a comment there saying that that Clare will want to keep Dublin down. I think Clare will look at this and think, why would we want to lose a game at the same time? Like, Clare have had a good record over years. That's what I'm thinking. Like, what's the... I was trying to think, like Clare, they've rivalries with Cork and Limerick and Tip, fair enough, and you could even say Kilkenny.
Unless me and Aaron have pissed them off somehow, I don't know. Like, hopefully we haven't, Aaron.
But I mean, we piss off the entire country every week, so I mean, that's not fair. But no, like I don't know. I have a weird feeling Clare will just say this weekend, no, we'll put out maybe not our strongest team, but we'll put out the majority of our players. Like, why not go for the full throttle and just say we want to keep 100% record before a league final? And do you know what? They might prefer playing against Dublin than Wexford in a league final. Genuinely, you never know. Look, they won't care about this game as much this weekend. I get your point, especially what Aaron was saying there about Kilkenny over the years pulling out a second string team against Wexford and not really caring too much about the result. I just don't see Clare doing that this weekend, though, for some weird reason. I think Clare will actually want to go full throttle and get a 100% record in the league campaign. Because remember, it wouldn't exactly still... Look, Wexford are still a decent team, and there wouldn't be really any shame in losing to them. But I don't think it would look great for Clare from their perspective if they won the All-Ireland 2 years ago and then didn't have a 100% record in Division 1B. I think they'd look at that as a bit of a disappointment, to be honest with you. Especially for me, their hardest game was Dublin, and they won that at the start of the league. So I do think Clare will actually go full throttle this weekend and maybe win this game. I have a weird, funny feeling they might. Now, Wexford will absolutely be going all out, but Wexford, see, there's no guarantee that Wexford will win a game like there are other counties. Do you know what I mean? There's no like you're not sitting here betting your money on it. Do you know what I mean? Now, Wexford are also funny. They went and bet Limerick last year in the final round of the league, which was very much unexpected and kept them to 112. And I know a lot of people would have been saying at the time, oh, it didn't matter. Limerick didn't care that much about the game. John Kiely wasn't happy after the game. I can tell you that. I was standing near him at that game doing it for the college paper. And you talk about Kieran McGeeney being intimidating. Kiely's not too much let far off that when he's not in a good mood, to be honest with you. But no, I have a funny feeling Clare will actually want to put out a bit of a statement this weekend and actually say, no, do you know what? Why not keep Wexford down here instead? Do you know what I mean? Like, why not just ruin their day instead? But look, and especially whether they play Tony Kelly or not, they might not. But I also think get him ready for the championship. He is on serious form at the moment in the league campaign, as you'd expect from a player at that level playing in this level of competition. But I have a funny feeling Clare will actually win this weekend. I got a sneaky feeling Wexford could be up in this game and Clare could have a late resurgence, and it could be a bit of heartbreak for them.
Ryan here saying, if you win, lads, you still have to go away to Carlow. Yep, and we still have to beat Down as well in Barnard Park. So the job certainly wouldn't be done, but it gives us a shot. And I think that would then give the lads a turbo charge. Like, I mean, let's be honest, Aaron, if the news comes true that Clare have beaten Wexford, that would give a shot of adrenaline to the Dubs. Like, all right, let's close it out. But yeah, I know that obviously it won't be before our game against it won't be before our game against Down, but it will be that case where we just focus on getting the job done against Down, and then if Wexford slip up against Clare and the news comes true, it gives us extra motivation to finish the job out against Carlow the next week. Ryan here saying Wexford have a good record away to Clare, including winning away last year in the league when it wasn't expected. And I could just see Chin, Lee Chin, obviously his form is pretty good. I thought Owen O'Donnell did a good job on him, but apart from that, I think he's been pretty good so far this year. I'm going to go with a Clare win based off similar reasons to what Liam said, but also a little bit of hope sprinkled in there as well. I do believe the Wexford have shown a little bit of a shakiness in terms of closing out games. Against us, they absolutely showed that. They should have finished that game off. And weirdly enough, do you know what as well? I could absolutely see a draw in this game either. Just to mess up the whole situation and really muddle it up. I could see a draw happening here.
If it's a draw, what do you need then?
If it's a draw, let me get the table up again. So right now, Wexford are on 7. Clare are 5 from 5. They're on 10. We're on 5 points. If Wexford get a draw, they're on 8 points. So then I think we would need them to slip up again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and we can't catch Clare either. I still think
if they're gonna slip up, it has to be in this one. So I don't think a draw would be good enough for us. Yeah. I'll go Clare to win. Matthew, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm going to say Clare as well, simply because obviously they'd want to win all the games in Division 1B, and as well as that, this is their last game of the regular league campaign. Their next 2 games are the league final and in the Munster Championship round robin. I'm sure Brian Lohan would want to iron out a few problems before the Munster Championship, because the Munster Championship is going to be absolutely tough with the likes of Limerick, Tip, Cork, Waterford even are a good side as well. So Clare would want to iron out any issues. They'd want to go full throttle and get a bit of confidence go rolling before the Munster Championship it comes around as well. So yeah, I think Clare would win this game. And even if Tony Kelly's not playing, some of their players that are on the fringes have performed very well. The likes of Dermot Stritch and the likes of Shane Meehan have really impressed this league campaign. So is Senan Dunford and so is Jack O'Neill. So I do think Clare are building a very, very good panel, and that panel could become to good use in this game against Wexford as well. And it's home advantage. And another reason as well, I don't think Clare have much of a rivalry against Dublin, but they have a decent rivalry against Wexford. So if there's any team they want to down, it's Wexford. So I think you're in safe hands there.
Hopefully. Ryan here saying you're on 3, I thought, on my table. Anyway, we are on 5, Ryan, just to clarify. We have played 4 games. We've beaten Antrim and Kildare, and we drew at Wexford in Croke Park, and we lost then to Clare in the opening day. So that's why we are where we are. Whereas Wexford, they're unbeaten. They've beaten Down, they've beaten Carlow, and they've beaten Antrim, and they drew against us in Croker. But yeah, hopefully that Clare can end that unbeaten streak this weekend. Aaron, have we convinced you enough, or what are you thinking?
I'm going to say Wexford win.
Oh my God, why are you doing this to me, man?
Wexford will win this comfortably. Bit of reverse psychology going on here.
Oh my goodness.
Respect.
Yeah, Ryan says they actually haven't updated the Antrim game on Wikipedia. Yeah, Wikipedia, you can't trust that anybody can edit Wikipedia. But anyway, yeah, maybe that's what we'll do after the game. If Wexford win, we'll just go in and edit Wikipedia and say that Clare won the game, and then maybe somehow we can get up. But we'll move on. The next clash I'm going to highlight here is Saturday at 5 p.m. in Parnell Park, Dublin against Down. Aaron, as was pointed out to us in the comments, we still have our job to do, and Down have proven to be quite tricky for a lot of teams in the league so far. They haven't got on the board, but they've been competitive in all their games, and we've seen enough examples over the years of teams pulling out wins to give themselves a fighting chance towards the end of the campaign. We cannot take our eye off the ball here.
Yeah, absolutely not. Like we saw Down against Wexford, that game went down to the wire, and it was very, very close. So absolutely, yeah, we absolutely can't take the eye off the ball. And another important point we're mentioning as well is that if Dublin and Wexford do finish level on points, it will go down to score difference. We do have the better score difference at the moment, but I do think at home in Parnell Park, look, I think Down, they have improved massively, and as we've been saying previously, they've competed very, very well in this division. But at the same time, as a Dublin fan, considering having seen us close up against Kildare and what we were able to do in Parnell Park, I would expect us to win this game comfortably. And I do think it is a chance to knock up the score difference and kind of solidify that a little bit more in the event that Wexford do lose to Clare. So, yeah, I think it should be comfortable for Dublin. John Heatherton's in excellent form. Keane Sullivan, Donald Burke, Brian Hayes around the middle. So we're going very strong. Like the way we put aside Antrim, I thought was very, very impressive, considering that Antrim, albeit they have struggled at times this season under Davy, but they are, there's a tough place to go to. And I've saw Dublin teams there struggle against Antrim, struggle in Corrigan Park, but we won that fairly convincingly, to be honest. So yeah, no, I'll back Dublin to win this.
Yeah, I'd back us confidently to win this, lads. Any objections before we move to the next game?
No, you should win this.
Okay. I'm going to pass the next game on to you then, Liam. Division 1B, Round 6, Kildare versus Carlow, Sunday at 2 p.m. in St. Conleth's Park. The situation with these two is this: Kildare are only 1 point behind the Dubs. Now, it would be very hard for Kildare to catch Wexford, especially if Wexford get something at Port Keysog. But Kildare have had a very, very solid league campaign. Carlow, on the other hand, they're still level on points with Antrim, albeit they do have a game in hand on them. But that game is this one. And to be honest, they probably would want to get something from this.
Just before I go into that, I'm just after getting a message that Crystal Palace are 3-1 up against Spurs at halftime. So that is absolutely incredible. They're going down. That is unbelievable. But
they're actually going down.
Back to the hurling. Sorry to all my friends who are Tottenham fans, because I have a few of them. But I actually think Kildare are going to win this weekend. I have a feeling that Kildare, this will be another big win for them. Remember, they went to Carlow last year and bet them in the Joe McDonagh, and I wasn't expecting that last year. I was expecting fully last year the Joe McDonagh final to be Carlow and Laois, and it turned out that Kildare just swept them aside, swept Laois aside. Both wasn't that the game you were commentating on in O'Moore Park, where they put 4 goals past them, and then they destroyed them in the final.
The Borans in that game were like colossal.
Exactly. And especially that Antrim result, and actually probably more than the Antrim result, the performance against Clare really made me think, do you know what? I'm worried about these lot when we play them in the championship even, to be honest. Going to St. Conleth's Park in Newbridge will not be an easy feat for us. And they got very close to Clare last weekend. Even the goal that they got last weekend, which was published, I don't know if it was on their social media or someone else's, but they play a nice brand of hurling. They play a really, really nice brand of hurling. They're actually nearly very nice to watch. They're very easy on the eye. Brian Dowling has done a really good job with them. Like Jack Sheridan right now is actually one of my favorite players in this division. Like I love watching him play. I've been a big fan of the Borans the last while. Now, albeit when you do have Marty Cavan in your team, you've always got a chance because he's one of the top forwards in this division, and would actually have a great chance of starting for most teams across the country. But I think that result against Antrim just shows Carlow on the road, albeit they had a decent enough performance against Wexford, Wexford still won that game by 10 points in the end. And then they went to Antrim and look what happened to them. I just got a bad feeling about them going up to Conleth's Park. I could be very wrong. Carlow could put out a big response and go up there and take down the Lily Whites. But I actually think Brian Dowling's team are actually going to win this game by 7-8 points this weekend. And I think Jack Sheridan's going to be the man. I think he could get what do you get against Clare? Did he get 2-4 against Clare or something? If I'm correct, if I'm wrong.
I don't know exactly off the top of the head what he got against Clare, but
I think it was.
Really well.
I could be wrong saying I think it was something like that. But regardless, I think I think Kildare will actually win this game this weekend. I think Jack Sheridan's going to be right at the forefront. Yeah, he got 2-4 against him. You've Groel Keegan as well, or Jerry Keegan, I should say, that's in top form at the moment as well. Yeah, I'm going to go with a Kildare win.
I'm going to back Kildare as well. Any disputes, lads? Matthew, what you going with?
No, I'm going for Kildare as well. And what makes this interesting, obviously, if Wexford do lose to Clare and Dublin beat down and Kildare win this game as well, Dublin would be on 7, Wexford would be on 7, Kildare would be on 6. And Kildare play Wexford, as far as I know, in the last game. So I'm not saying that there will be some miracle shock that will happen where Kildare will beat Wexford. But let's just say that'll be an interesting game to watch. Kildare and Wexford, see how far Kildare have progressed. But to be fair, Brian Dowling's doing a superb job there. And yeah, I think they'll get over the line against Carlow, who are massive relegation trouble.
Because then we'd be going away to Carlow on that last day. So it's conceivable that maybe we'd be like that. That's a serious banana skin. Like Ryan here saying Davy Qualter, big plus. Yeah, Aaron, any disagreements before we move on?
No, I'm backing Kildare to get the win as well.
Okay, very good. Well, we're going to move on then, lads. It is quick pick time, and we're going to start off with Division 2 and then go through Division 3 and Division 4 and round 6 in each of the divisions. So starting off with Division 2's round 6, we have Kerry hosting Mayo Sunday at 1 p.m. in Austin Stack Park, Laois hosting Meath Sunday at 2 p.m. in O'Moore Park, and Westmeath hosting Derry Sunday at 2 p.m. in Cusack Park. Matthew, I'll go to you first. What are you thinking for these three?
Laois Meath is essentially a promotion decider because both these sides are in the top 2 at this present moment in time. Laois have won 4 games out of 4. Meath lost one earlier on in the campaign. Laois being at home, the form they're in at the moment, the likes of Aaron Dunphy really hitting the lights out. So is Mossy Keys. I'm going to go for Laois to win that game against Meath. Kerry against Mayo, weird one in hurling. We wouldn't have expected to see this one in hurling. We usually would say it's a brilliant football rivalry. Both sides deservedly are Division 2 this season, and I think Kerry, they've done well so far in the league. The likes of Oisin Mansell, Tom Doyle, they've done exceptionally well. So is Ronan Walsh from the Freeze. So I'm going to go for Kerry to win that one. And the situation, actually, if Kerry do win that and Meath lose against Laois, Kerry will be in the top 2 in a very good position for promotion. And Westmeath Derry is consequential for the bottom half of the table because obviously as well, if Westmeath do win this game, they'll be joined second with Kerry if Kerry win against Mayo as well. They're on 5 points at this present moment of time, so that's a big game for Westmeath. But if Derry lose this game, they're relegated from Division 2 down to Division 3, so it's a vital game for them. I'd say the want might be there for Derry, so I'm going to back Derry to win that one against Westmeath.
I'm going to go for one change. I'm going to go a clean sweep for the home teams. I'm going to go Kerry, Laois, and Westmeath. Aaron, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm going to go Kerry, Laois, and Westmeath as well. I do get the need for Derry to win it, but I still think Westmeath are a bit ahead of Derry in terms of the players that they have, the home advantage as well. So, yeah, I'll go clean sweep for the home teams.
What are you thinking, Liam?
Yeah, no disagreements there. I think the form that Mossy Keys is in, especially for Laois at the moment, he got 112 against Westmeath last weekend. I think Laois should beat Meath rather comfortably, but then I said that against Derry, and supposedly it was one of the worst games that was ever played in O'Moore Park, considered from what I've heard. Yeah, Kerry Mayo, they're playing each other in football next weekend as well, aren't they? So there's going to be a bit of a heated rivalry in hurling and football over the next 7 days or so, but I won't get onto the football prediction yet, but I think Kerry will win the hurling this weekend. And yeah, I agree. I do agree with what Matthew is saying in terms of Derry that wants belief, and Westmeath, they're not the same Westmeath as they were even a couple of years ago. They've lost a lot of players, but I think Westmeath should still win this game. So I'm going to back home sweep as well.
I'm going to go to you next, Aaron, for Division 3's round 6, the first round of predictions for these games. Starting off, Donegal hosting Wicklow Sunday at 1 p.m. in O'Donnell Park, Fermanagh hosting Roscommon Sunday at 2 p.m. in Brewster Park, and Tyrone and Armagh playing Saturday at 2 p.m. in Garvaghey. What are you thinking for these?
Yeah, I'll go with Donegal to get the better of Wicklow. I think Roscommon will be Fermanagh as well. Fermanagh down near the bottom of Division 3, and Roscommon actually going quite strong there so far with 3 wins from 4 games. Tyrone Armagh, I suppose, another one that we're so used to maybe in the football. But yeah, I think I'll go with Tyrone. Like, Armagh have lost all their games so far, 4 defeats from 4. So I'll go with Tyrone.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tyrone. I'm going to go with Roscommon and Donegal. Yeah, so I do agree with you. Matthew, what do you think for these?
Yeah, I'd say Tyrone should beat Armagh, obviously. I'm going to say Roscommon will beat Fermanagh, so that'll be Armagh. And Fermanagh relegated to Division 4, confirmed. Donegal-Wicklow is a very interesting game. Wicklow are third in the table. Donegal have won 4 games from 4. I'd still back Donegal, though. The likes of Liam McKenny, the likes of Jerry Gilmore really performed for Donegal in this league campaign, so I'm going to go for them to win this. They beat Kerry as well last season, and obviously you have the club teams at Donegal now in the senior championship in Ulster, so Donegal Hurling is on the rise.
Liam, what do you think for this?
Yeah, I agree with the lads there, and I'm hoping probably won't be the same as the football, but I'm hoping we get a good scrap between Tyrone and Armagh like we would in the football. I hope none of the hurlers are listening to that, but yeah, I agree with the lads. And I agree. I think Donegal Hurling is in a really good place at the moment, and it'd be great to see them get promoted and continue to make this progress at the moment. So yeah, I agree with the lads.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really interesting. As Ryan there saying, Ryan, I'm guessing from your comment saying that Tyrone are the banana skin that you're an Armagh man yourself, but it'll be very, very interesting to see how it goes. And like going away to Tyrone, there's no doubt that rivalry. I know that it's more associated with football in terms of the clashes and stuff like that, but there's no doubt it does transfer through. Like it has that element to it, no question. But yeah. We're going to move on then to Division 4, Round 6, and I'm going to throw this one to you first, Liam. So starting off, you have Leitrim hosting Lancashire in Park Sean McDermott, and that's at 1 p.m. Warwickshire hosting Longford in Port Naharan at 1 p.m. and Sligo hosting Cavan and Enniscrone at 1:30 p.m.
I'm going to go with wins for Sligo, Longford and Leitrim. Sligo and Longford at the moment with 4 wins from 4. They've been very much dominating this division at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to go with to clean sweep there.
Very good. I'm going to go with Sligo. I'm going to go with Longford actually to get the win in Warwickshire and Leitrim to get the win in Lancashire. Matthew, what are you thinking?
Yeah, Longford and Leitrim probably to win comfortably enough. Warwickshire and Lancashire, obviously it is hard for them to gain results, obviously being overseas. Sligo against Cavan's a very interesting one. Like Cavan do have some good players, but they've struggled in the league so far, only 2 wins from 4. Sligo, obviously with the Easky boys back in the team as well, they look very, very strong. And if Sligo, Longford and Leitrim all win this weekend, the Division 4 promotion will be decided with Sligo and Longford, and it looks like Division 3 relegation and promotion will be decided as well. So a lot's going to be decided this weekend, it seems. But yeah, I think Sligo and Longford are going up.
Yeah, I do agree. But that brings our hurling preview to an end, and we're going to move on now to the Camogie. 1B is not taking place this weekend in the Camogie, but Division 1A's round 3 will take place. And once again, Matthew, your own county are in the most eye-catching of fixtures here. The rivalry between Kilkenny and Cork and Camogie over the past few years has been sensational. Obviously, Grace Walsh's Laker Gale kind of brought that to life. Like, I mean, the amount of finals that they met in. But Kilkenny versus Cork, Saturday at 2 p.m. in St. Lochtons. It's been a slow start to the league for Cork, not what you would have expected. But Kilkenny, on the other hand, 2 wins out of 2. Surely the Rebels have to fight back now.
I don't think it'll be this weekend. I think Kilkenny will win it. Simply, I'm not going to be ranting about the Cork Camogie team because I know you look at the teams that Cork have put out in the last few weeks, it's nowhere near All-Ireland final standard teams. Like Emma Murphy's playing, granted, Aisling Thompson, Amy Lee, but that isn't the vintage Cork team. Saoirse McCarthy's been out for the first 2 games. Amy O'Connor's injured. The Mackies have stepped away for now. Laura Tracy's retired. It's huge losses for Cork. Cleona Healy's not on the panel. It's huge losses for Cork. Obviously, you have Maeve Callahan and Orla Callahan now. Obviously, it's a few weeks on since their St. Finbarr's exploit, so you'd imagine they'll start their first games this weekend. But it will take a while to get that mark sharpness up for them in many ways. Obviously, there is the younger players who have performed well from a Cork point of view, the likes of Niamh McNapola, the likes of Billy Condon. But to be fair, it is a real step up for this Cork team. And obviously, it is a bit of transition for them. And hopefully, they can get a bit of form going towards championship. As for Kilkenny, they're absolutely flying in this campaign. Aisling McCarthy's doing absolutely brilliantly. Aoife Prendergast is as well. And they look really, really good. I know one of the commenters said Katie Power's a massive loss. But it seems like the younger players, the likes of Quiva Kerr-Berta as well, are really stepping up for Kilkenny in this campaign. And yeah, I think Kilkenny will get over the line in this one. Sarah Barker, another good player. Yeah, I think Kilkenny will get over the line and win this game, especially being at home and the fact they have a 100% record so far.
I agree. I'm going to go Kilkenny to get over the line. I think they've really been looking like they're taking the league super serious in terms of building out their squad. They have, lost plenty of players from that All-Ireland winning teams in 2020 and 2022. But they really, really give the impression that they're trying to use this league campaign now to build for the next few years. And the players like Asha McCarty and Aoife Prendergast and Sarah Barco, like these girls are going to be crucial in building that next crop of Kilkenny teams over the next few years. So I'm going to go for Kilkenny to win this one, but Cork need a bite back and they need it soon, because if they do lose this game, that's 3 defeats from 3 games. The score difference would be negative against them, obviously. And then the players that they are missing, Matthew named them out. But again, you add on top of that Aoife Healy, Hannah Looney, like these are big, big players that aren't in the panel now. So it's not a guarantee that they get themselves out of it, which is quite crazy to even say. But yeah, I'm going to go Kilkenny to win this one. Aaron, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Kilkenny as well. I think the home advantage will be key. And I do agree with what you lads said as well. Like, I think Kilkenny have introduced some new players, some fresh faces into the team, with the change of the great team from a good couple of years ago. So I'll back Kilkenny, I think, to get over the line. Cork do look a little bit out of sorts. Obviously, yeah, a lot of their best players aren't playing at the moment. It was obviously a famous win for Antrim against them a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I think Kilkenny will win this one.
Liam, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think Kilkenny are taking the league a bit more seriously than Cork are, which is understandable as well. Like, Kilkenny have not been the real dominant force that they were for the last couple of years. And Cork, I mean, they were one puck away from winning, was a third All-Ireland in a row last year, and that's their focus this year, let's be honest, to get back to Croke Park and to win the All-Ireland and to obviously win the Munster Championship as well. So yeah, look, I think when you've got players like Ash McCarty and Aoife Prendergast and formed like the way they are at the moment, and Emma Shorthall, etc., if they're on top form this weekend, I can't see anything but a Kilkenny win.
Is that all of us that are giving our predictions for that one? It is. So we're going to move on now. And Aaron, I'm going to go to you first for this one. Tipperary against Galway, Saturday, 3 p.m. at the Rag. The situation for these counties, Galway have also made a flat start, 2 defeats out of 2 for them, whereas Tipperary, impressive opening day win away to Antrim. Now they host Galway. Galway need the win. And obviously the situation before their previous game losing to Waterford was they were snowed in America and everything like that before they got back. They got back, their feet's under the table now, and they need this win. But it's a difficult place to go when you need it.
Absolutely, it will be, yeah. And like Tipperary, to be fair, they have been a little bit inconsistent, but they did show some bright sparks against Kilkenny in particular with Emer McGrath. But as you said, with Galway, it has been an unusual season, obviously, for themselves, especially with what happened, obviously, abroad and everything else. But I'd fancy them to win this game. I think they will bounce back, in my opinion. I think the need for the victory, the need for the win is there. And yeah, especially after the disappointment versus Waterford, I'd go with Galway to win this.
Matthew, I'll go to you next.
Yeah, I'd say it's a very difficult one to call. Obviously, Galway do have some good players, but obviously the excuse that it was a valid excuse, to be fair. They were snowed in over the States, and obviously they came back late for the Waterford game. Like that had to take a toll of the players. But the thing is that Galway have a lot more experienced campaigners than Cork do, for what's seen the team sheets and all that. Obviously, Carrie Dolan's still about. These sorts of players like Ciara Hickey, Ida Badgett is still fit enough to play. The likes of the Attenroy girls, the likes of Dervla Higgins, the likes of the Rabbits. I'm sure they will want to get matches under their belts as well. And there doesn't seem to be any much retirements from a Galway point of view as well. But you made the point, Seamus, about the Rag. It is a difficult place to go. When you need the results, like going to that place at Tipperary, it's not an easy place to play Camogie at all. And obviously Tipperary play there because it's a tough place for their visitors. And to be fair, like you look at Emer McGrath, she's done well for Tipperary. The likes of Chloe McIntyre over the last few years. Caoimhe Stakelum has done well in the last few weeks, I have to say. Especially for a young player. She scored 1-4 for play against Antrim. Obviously, she didn't score anything in the last game, but she is a very young, good young prospect coming through there on the Kilkenny or the Tipperary side. It's a tough one to call. I'm going to say Tipperary just because they have home advantage, and maybe they might have a point to prove against Galway in terms of wanting to get that All-Ireland title. I know I watched that documentary with the Camogie and RT last year, and even seeing the likes of Grace O'Brien and Clodagh McIntyre and these players, they're kind of sick of losing All-Ireland semi-finals, and they want to stamp down and make a marker. And I think Tipperary, if they are to make a marker early in the season, beating Galway will go a long way to doing that.
I'm going to agree with Matthew. Liam, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'd agree. Like, initially I was thinking Galway will want to put out a bit of a statement this weekend, especially with the fact that this is their first away game after losing to Kilkenny and to Waterford. And look, they obviously did have the excuse of what happened over in the States against Waterford, but there was only 2 players that scored against Waterford last weekend. You know, that's still not a great return. And in fairness to Niamh Mallon, she got 1-4 out of the 1-5. Do you know what I mean? Like, Galway, for as much as we want to give them obviously that excuse, which is valid, they still only had 2 players that got on the score sheet last weekend. If you're going to go against a team like Tipperary, you can't have that same situation again. Now, they'll absolutely not want to have that situation again. I can imagine that the likes of Aoife Donoghue and Nyland will absolutely not want to go another game week scoreless. But I think, like Matthew said there, Tipperary is not an easy place to go to. And I watched that documentary as well, and I kind of got that feeling as well. Was it the Cork game that they showed in particular, that they seemed really pissed off after their performance against them? So I agree. I think Tipperary, they're moving, like they had a great win against Antrim, and especially with the way Antrim went and bet Cork, that looks like a really, really good win now. And look, losing away to Kilkenny by 5 points is absolutely no shame. And Kilkenny have started this league came like a house on fire. So yeah, I'm going to back Tipperary to win this weekend, just purely because I think Galway are going to need more in their forward line than what they've delivered so far in the league. But look, this could also be the perfect game for Galway. They're away from home for the first time. It could be, you know, a break from having to play in Athenry and everything like that. So yeah, look, but I think Tipperary should win this weekend.
Ryan agreeing as well, saying tip by 4. I think the travel will get in Galway's heads. It is a long journey for them to make, not in terms of like as the crow flies, but I imagine the road to it isn't exactly a motorway. But yeah, I do back Tipperary to get over the line on that one. I do agree with what you were saying, Matthew, about Clodagh McIntyre and these players. They've given off the impression that they're sick of getting to semi-finals. They want to break through that glass ceiling, and to do that, you have to get in the habit of beating these teams regardless of what competition it's in, and beating Galway is a fantastic step to take on that journey. Now, 2 teams that are in fantastic form meet this weekend. Antrim and Waterford, Saturday at 1 p.m. in Ballymena. Liam, I'm batting this one right back to you. Antrim last weekend went away to Cork. Last round went away to Cork and beat them in an extremely impressive win. Whereas Waterford last weekend beat Galway in a very impressive win as well. They clash this Saturday in Ballymena. What are you expecting from this one?
Yeah, I suppose, first of all, it's a very long journey from Waterford to Antrim. By God, I mean, Jesus. I mean, I feel bad for poor Matthew. I have to go from Cork to Derry last weekend. This is just as bad, to be honest with you. But no, I think Waterford, look, it was a great win for Antrim, but I think context is still 100% key. It wasn't Cork's strongest team that Antrim did beat. Whereas Waterford this weekend will have, I can imagine, judging by the team that they had out against Galway, they'll have a strong team out there. Like, you'll have Beth Carton realistically out there, Niamh Rockett, these types of players, Sarah Lacey, I'd imagine, Orla Hickey, so Abby Flynn. Like, I'd imagine these players will be out this weekend. And this thing, Waterford so far, like, I mean, it was a great win for them against Galway. Regardless of the situation, they still had to go out there and do the job, and they absolutely did it. They've 2 wins from 2. I can imagine they'll be looking at this thinking, listen, we've got 2 good wins under our belts. Why don't we just go all out for the league and try and put out a bit of a statement early on in the season, you know, rattle a few feathers. So yeah, look, I think look, Antrim, great win last weekend, or last round I should say, and no doubt they'll still be absolutely over the moon with it. But I think Waterford will probably bring them back down to reality a small bit this weekend, not with like a hammering, but I think they should win this game rather comfortably. I mean, if Niamh Rockett especially hits top form, then it could be a very long afternoon for them.
Yeah, I'm going to go Waterford as well. I think, look, Antrim's win over Cork was so impressive 2 weeks ago, but you have to look at Waterford in the form that they're in. Beth Carton, Lorraine Bray are looking sharp, and Niamh Rockett looks on fire. And I think that those 3 are going to be especially difficult to stop. I think the one positive, again, to take along with the Cork win for Antrim was that Roisin McCormick wasn't carrying them in terms of scores like she usually does. The scores are a little bit more spread out this year, but I still think Waterford will probably be too strong in this game. Lads, any disagreements at all before we move on?
Nope.
Okay. We'll move on now to quick pick time. And Matthew, I'm going to throw it to you first, and we'll just get your verdict on how you think these games are going to go, and then the rest of us are going to pick as well. Division 2A, round 4. And in these games, Derry hosts Meath at Celtic Park on Saturday at 2 p.m. Kerry hosts Westmeath in Austin Stack Park Saturday at 2 p.m. And Carlow hosts Laois in Cullen Park Saturday at 2 p.m.
Yeah, I'm going to say Laois will win against Carlow. Amy Collier seems to be on brilliant form. She was in brilliant form last year, to be fair, but Carlow has 0 points on the board after 3 games, and I'd imagine Laois would want to continue their form for early on the league campaign. Kerry against Westmeath. Kerry have looked very, very good this campaign, and obviously getting to that final in the intermediate last year, obviously against Offaly. They wouldn't have been expected to get there, but they did very well in getting there, to be fair. Patrice Diggins performing very well, and so is Daniel O'Leary, a very interesting name on the Kerry team sheet. She's doing dual apparently this season, so fair play to Daniel for that. So I think Kerry will win against Westmeath. Westmeath a bit too over-reliant on the likes of Megan Dowdle in this team. Meath and Derry is a very interesting encounter, because you cast your mind back, I'd say 3 years ago in the intermediate, both these sides played in the intermediate final, and they drew the first day. It went to a replay. Derry won it in the end. But it's a funny one. Meath have probably kicked on more than Derry have, in a way. So I'm going to say Meath will go on and win this game against Derry. Derry have lost a lot of players over the last few years, albeit they've won 2 games out of 3, so that's a decent enough record. This might be a promotion decider to see who goes up, but Kerry Laois might be in the conversation as well. But yeah, I'm going to go for Meath to beat Derry this weekend.
I agree with you. I'm going Meath, Kerry and Laois. Lads, any changes you would make to that?
No.
Ryan also agreeing with us. Apart from the Meath and Derry game, he says Derry, Kerry and Laois. And we'll move on now to Division 3A, round 3. And there's only 2 games in this. Salim, I'm going to throw this one to you. Armagh against Tyrone, meeting in Camogie, as well as Hurling in the Athletic Grounds Saturday at 2 p.m. Wicklow against Roscommon then in Echelon Park Saturday at 2 p.m. So Wicklow, Roscommon, Armagh, Tyrone. What are you thinking?
I'm going to go with Tyrone to win that game. They've started off really, really well in the league campaign. Roscommon, Wicklow. I'm going to shade it to Roscommon.
Very good. I'm going to take this one, and then Aaron, you take the Division 4 of the LGFA League, round 7. So Division 3B, round 3, Monaghan hosts Mayo at the Monaghan Centre of Excellence Saturday at 2 p.m. and Donegal will host Louth in Donegal on Saturday at 2 p.m. as well. I'm going to go for Donegal to win. I'm going to go for Mayo to win, even though it's in the Monaghan Centre of Excellence. I think Mayo are going well there in the division. Aaron, then I'm going to throw onto yourself the National LGFA League Division 4 round 7, the final round of normal fixtures. Of course, then they have their semi-finals and the Division 4 final. Then obviously the Division 4 structure is slightly different to the other divisions, but we have Leitrim hosting Carlow in Pork Sean McDermott a Sunday at 2 p.m. Offaly hosting Derry in O'Connor Park Sunday at 2 p.m. Wicklow hosting Sligo in Bray Emmets Sunday at 2:30 p.m. and Kilkenny hosting Longford in the training centre in Dunmore Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Which are you going for here?
Yeah, I think Leitrim Carlow is an interesting one, because even looking at the league table here, they both have 100% winning record. Both have won 6 from 6, which is interesting there. So go with a draw there. In terms of Offaly Longford, I think I'll go with Offaly to get the victory there. And yeah, I do think is it Longford Kilkenny you said?
Sorry, Offaly Derry, Longford Kilkenny, Wicklow Sligo.
Okay. No, I'll go with Longford to get the victory over Kilkenny. And then yeah. Sorry, can you say them again?
Wicklow Sligo
off me here.
Wicklow Sligo and Offaly Derry.
And Offaly Derry.
1 hour 15 minutes. It's
yeah. We'll go with Offaly to beat Derry.
Yeah, I'm going to say Leitrim to beat Carlow. I think Leitrim look like they're on it this year in Division 4. I'm going to go for Offaly to beat Derry. I'm going to go for Wicklow to beat Sligo and Longford to beat Kilkenny. Liam, what are you thinking?
Yeah, no disagreements with me. I think Leitrim will beat Carlow in the end. I think Offaly will beat Derry. I might actually try and get to that game on Sunday if I can. I think Wicklow should beat Sligo, and like, it's a shame. I think I predicted Kilkenny to get a win in the league campaign when we did our predictions. Probably more hope than anything, but when you look at poor Kilkenny's results, it's been either 1 point or no score in all of their games, essentially. So I think it could be another tough one for them this weekend. It'll come soon. It'll come in the future, not this year.
Matthew, what are you thinking?
Yeah, just on Kilkenny, Liam, obviously they have, according to Scorpio, minus 191 scoring difference.
I mean, it's not 200.
Yeah,
it will be this weekend if they lose.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, Longford will win this game. The less said about that, the better. Leitrim and Carlow is both sides will play second teams, I'd imagine, because the way Division 4 is, it's semi-finals, so the top 4 are in the semi-finals. So they may want to, get themselves ready for the semi-finals. Yeah. So I'm going to say a draw, just both teams lay down, whatever. Sligo against Wicklow. Very interesting game. I think Wicklow might be out of the promotion race because Offaly and Longford have a game in hand, and Longford are playing Kilkenny, and Offaly will win this weekend as well. I think Sligo will get the job done and clinch third spot, and then the winners of that game in hand between Offaly and Longford will get that fourth spot.
Very good. Well, that brings an end to another weekend preview show here on Cúilín Media. Everyone, the games that are on this weekend, the divisions that we've covered include hurling, all divisions, Camogie, all divisions bar Division 1B, and then in the LGFA, just round 7 of Division 4. But we've gone through it all, and as was pointed out here, Porta giving us a bula busker, Mila Maiga Takara. On top of that, speaking of Squelga, Ryan here saying, lads, remember that tonight, Louise Hertig's Lecregale is on TG Cahir, and I'll admit, it's a little confession, I have watched it already on the player, and it's a brilliant episode, so definitely do tune in. Ryan saying, thanks, lads. See you on Sunday. Yes, we will. Well said, Ryan. We are going to see you on Sunday at 8 p.m. for a weekend review show. We're going to break down all of the games as they happened and hopefully talk about a Clare win and a Dublin win. But until then, enjoy the games. Liam, enjoy the second half of Tottenham getting humiliated by Crystal Palace. And until Sunday, Torara.
Instinct, baby.